Hi everyone. So I made a video about how in the natural health, raw vegan situation movement and all that, that there's a mistaken ideas around weight gain or maintaining your weight, and the idea that you can maintain your weight on anything other than sufficient calories to maintain your weight, regardless of what diet you do. So in the raw food world, there used to be an idea that food's so full of nutrients you can eat less. It's not true. Completely not true. You can't eat less volume and you can't eat less calories. It doesn't matter how nutrient dense your food is. You need the most important nutrient, which is calories. Now, it's not the most important nutrient in a world where everyone has enough all the time, but it is overall the most important thing to be focused on, especially if you're changing your diet, and especially if you're changing your diet to a raw food diet. You want to make sure you're eating a calorie sufficient diet. And people can get wrapped up in ideas about living on light, living on energy, living on emotions, and that, this is not correct thinking. It might be appealing, it might be fascinating, it might be something you wish would be the case, but it is not correct thinking from my point of view, and pretty much from most people who have researched and lived and learned about this. But let's look to the other side of the equation, which is weight loss, because a lot of you are looking to lose weight. I've got a little weight to lose. I know people with weight to lose and weight to gain, but people with weight to lose. Within the raw food movement and within the natural health world, there's a few concepts that aren't really correct there. One of them is if it's raw or if it's fruit or if it's carbohydrates, you can eat as much as you like. And you eat as much as you like, as many calories as you like, and you'll lose weight. In fact, if you eat more calories, eat even more calories, eat even more carbohydrates, you'll lose weight. And a few people have promoted this idea, and many people have tried it out. And another idea might be things like, well, what you need to do actually is get your hormones balanced and get your gut bacteria, this and that, and get this working and that working, and here's some supplements and try these, and these will all help you with weight loss and all that kind of thing. That actually the reason that you're not losing weight is because of your hormones, or some, like, you're a particular race and you're not getting the right nutrients because they've made the food wrong for your race, and that's imbalancing you, or whatever. There's a lot of concepts like this. Or you're not getting enough nutrients in your diet, so you're always craving food because you're not eating enough nutrients. Stuff like that. And all it comes down to for me, get very simple with it, is you're not losing weight without a caloric deficit, without you having a demand of energy more than you're giving yourself, more than you're supplying to your body. Okay, so your body is really set up, as far as I understand it, is unbelievably smart. You can't outfox your body. You're not going to outwit your body. You're not going to, I'm going to drink some diet Coca-Cola or diet soft drink. Your body's not going to go, oh wow, that's sugar. Let's turn off our desire to eat now that we've had sugar. That's not how it works. The body's going, that's not sugar. Immediately. Absolutely immediately. And no one ever really lost weight drinking diet drinks. It's never really been that effective. They sell a lot. They've not really helped anyone lose weight. People just replace the calories with even worse calories. You'd be better off drinking the Coca-Cola. And you might say, well, that can't make sense. It does make sense, because if you're getting your calories from carbohydrates, you're getting 4 calories a pound. Instead, if you have a diet drink and you make up your calories with fat, you're more likely to overeat, and you're more likely to eat more, because it's 9 calories 9 calories a gram, sorry, for fat, and you're more likely to overeat on fat than sugar all day. So what you need to understand is weight gain, weight loss is the same thing. It is calories in, calories out. It is as simple as that. But what makes it difficult or different is that different foods obviously have different levels of calories, and they've got different volume, and they've got different amount of water, which has no calories, and different amount of fiber, which has no calories. So all the whole foods, all the whole plant foods have water and fiber, which means they are more volume. They hold more space in your stomach, in your system, but they have less actual calories than a lot of the processed foods and a lot of the animal products, which are mostly fat, which, as I was explaining, is more calories per gram. So we understand this concept, but the body loses weight. The body doesn't really want to lose weight. Why do you think there's so many people that are overweight? Your body doesn't really want to lose weight. It's not really set up to lose weight because we never had this issue for the first millions and millions of years. I mean, you really need to go back tens of millions of years for that system to be created. Hunger and appetite and the regulation of that's tens of millions of years. Do you think at any point in those tens of millions of years the problem was far too much food and everyone getting overweight? It never happened. It never, ever, ever happened. The environment just made it impossible. And not because we were like, and a lot of people say, oh, we were starving all the time, so we should fast every week. I don't believe in that. And I don't agree that we were starving all the time. I think that we would eat all the food, and then when that ran out, we'd move and find more food. But I don't think we were just starving all the time. I don't think we would have allowed that to happen. I don't think we wanted that. So, and you're forgetting, like, it's not, everyone thinks the tropics and where we came from is, oh, there's a little bit of fruit in this time of year, and then there's none for a couple of months, and then there's, no, it's not, it doesn't, it's, the tropics is fruit all the time, abundantly, all the time. Some of the trees, they produce fruit 4 times a year. 4 times a year. You know where that tree is, and you know it's going to fruit again in 3 months. Guess where you're coming back to in 3 months? You better get there quick. And that's why I think that we actually learn to walk and run, because we can get there, we can cover a further distance to go and find the fruit and get there quicker than the animals that are trying to, like the other apes that are trying to swing around. And they can't, and they try and swing around, and then there's a break in the forest. What do? They can't go further. They'd have to waddle along, and that's dangerous for them. So we've been able to cover longer distances. We have this ability with our brain and our mind to remember locations, and we have an awareness of time as well, and the passing of time to some degree. So yeah. And if you think about that idea, I mean, I was speaking to a lady yesterday. The abundance of fruit people don't understand. You do not get the abundance of it. There was a lady yesterday we were speaking to we had a little conference for the UK Fruit Fest. She has a garden in Arizona with fruit trees. She said when her fig tree starts to create figs, she can get 100 figs every day for 30 days. 100 figs each day, one tree for 30 days. A tree in someone's garden. We're not talking about how big a tree can actually get. Well, maybe if the tree got really big, maybe that's 1,000 figs a day for 30 days. That's one tree. And you're wondering, how did people feed themselves? Is it really a mystery? What if you have a forest of trees like that? Not just entirely that tree, but a forest. What if you have thousands of trees producing 1,000 figs a day for 30 days? Could that be possible? Maybe. 1,000 over 1,000 trees, 1,000,000 figs a day over 30 days, 30 million figs in a month. Do you think you could feed yourself and your family and a few other people and 100 other people on 30 million figs in a month? Do you think you could do that? I don't think that's too hard. I don't think that's too difficult. Um, anyway, I don't know why I went down that road, but I was just thinking about that. So anyway, you're so highly and finely tuned for eating, say, figs, that the chances of you severely overeating on figs is unlikely. They're very filling. The nutrients, the sugar is going to make them very satisfying, and we're not going to eat too many of them. If we do overeat, that sugar is going to have to turn into fat. So we're already losing calories trying to turn it into fat. We have to be overeating for a long period of time to even gain, a pound or two. We have to really be pushing it. And we maybe could push it at times and gain a little bit of weight. But you're maybe not always going to have as many figs as you like. So it might come down a bit over the years. And be that's basically probably what would happen, something like that. So we're not really set up to lose weight. We're set up to store our fat. We're set up to keep our fat for those times of crisis, for those times where, let's say, you get thrown out of your community and they're like, you can't have access to the figs anymore. You have to go away. You have to find something else. So you have to go and walk for a few days to try and find, and you're eating things along the way, trying to eat stuff, but you're not really finding good fruit. And so you need to learn. Obviously, we need to be able to live. We can deal without food for a while, but we can only do that because we can store fat. And there's a lot of animals that can't store fat or don't store much, and they would die very quickly without being able to store. So we're really adapted to store the fat and get food, not to lose weight. There is no easy adaptation for losing weight. You're not meant to lose weight. You're not meant to be lean. It's just that's the environment that we're set up for. We most likely wouldn't have been able to eat as much as we liked all the time. And also there would have been competition in your group, and the most successful, the alpha males, the leaders, the people that were in charge, they would have got the most. It's a reality since the start of time for all animals. The leaders would have the access to the best stuff, basically. So, and by the way, why do you think men, for example, are attracted to these curvy images of women? Large breasts, large buttocks. Why, as much as women find being really skinny to be attractive, and that's what women like when they look at each other, I suppose. But men, it's not particularly what skinniness. It's not particularly something that men go, that's really my thing, skinny. It's not. There's not. I'm sure there are guys that really like that, but most men do not prefer skinny. And why is that? Well, it's because it's a genetic adaptation. And it also means, well, this woman has got enough fat stored there if she has a child. That's not what you're thinking consciously, but I'm just saying, like, that's the underlying genetic thing. Is this is a lady that if we have a baby, she can feed that baby for a while. She's got some milk there. she's she's got some milk to last a while. Um, she can store some fat. She's good at storing fat. She's good at storing food. She's getting a lot of food. She's got a healthy appetite, but she's she's good at storing the food. So, and I don't know. I don't know if it's the same with women. I don't know if women go look at men and go, "Oh, he's got a nice big fat belly." You know, I don't think that that's. I don't think it's quite the same. But at the same time, you hear about the dad bod, so maybe there's something in that. Who knows? But um, but regardless, right? We're kind of set up to put on weight. It's just the environment would have never made it possible for us to get the obese and get us overweight. We'd have never got that like that. And you can look back to the 1970s, films from the 60s, 70s, the 50s, the 40s. The environment did not allow these people to get overweight. It's not that they couldn't have got overweight. If you transported them to today, just like you transport immigrants from other countries into the US and in the UK, a whole bunch of them will get really fat. They'll match into the average of people. Now, not everyone gains weight because not everyone's the same with food. And I was speaking to a lady yesterday who said she never really feels like eating a lot. Like whereas someone else was saying, I always feel hungry, right? But I was speaking to the lady, I said, well, she runs a care home or a sheltered accommodation centre. She's on her feet all day long. She's always on call. If something goes wrong, she has to deal with it. She's always sort of got that pressure on her. And when you're in that state, you tend not to be thinking about food and thinking about food all the time. I'm sure you understand what I mean. Whereas if you're more of a relaxed state, you're open to eating all the time, right? So there's differences in the way people approach things. Also, some people have digestion issues and they just naturally eat less because they struggle with that because of the poor diet people eat. So, getting back to weight loss, a lot of people are really concerned in the raw vegan movement now that there's a lot of anorexia and eating disorders, and a lot of people that come into this have come from a background of eating disorders. That's true. It's a shame, but that's true. And we definitely don't want to say to them, well, what you need to do is restrict, eat. You need to eat less, or you need to cut down, or you need to force yourself. Really what usually happens is a person goes on a raw vegan diet, eats as much as they like, they'll often still lose weight at first. And it's simply because they're not used to eating enough calories yet. They're not there yet. They're not got to that point. But over time, they tend to develop that and learn that and really develop that appetite to eat more. And their body adapts to wanting and being comfortable with more fruit and all the rest of it. And you eat enough. But people will lose weight at first, and many people, if they just change to vegan, change to raw vegan, they just change that, they'll lose weight. But here's what doesn't happen. You don't lose weight because you're eating a healthier diet. You lose weight because you're in a caloric deficit. Every time someone loses weight, it's because they're in a caloric deficit. It's because technically it's a restriction. Now, they might not have felt like they were restricting themselves. But technically that's exactly what was happening. They just weren't behaving like that. But the change in the diet allowed them to go into a deficit without realizing. And so plenty of people lose weight going raw without realizing that they're in a deficit because they haven't got used to the new way that the body signals, or the real way that the body signals hunger. Because what most people respond to, and no one gets this when I say it to them, I say, when you, as a cooked food person, when you get hungry, you feel pain in your stomach, right? And they go, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, it's called hunger pains. Have you never heard that? Like, people hold their stomach, they feel their stomach's empty, the stomach's growling, their stomach, that's where you feel hunger. And sometimes they look confused, and I'm like, you must know what I'm talking about. You must know your body, right? People don't know their body that well, right? So when you go raw vegan, you don't really feel anything in the stomach anymore. Essentially, you don't really feel anything in the stomach anymore, or in your digestive system. It disappears. Basically, your whole relationship with it disappears. Um, and you don't wait for your stomach to say, okay, I'm kind of empty now, throw more stuff in. It's not about that. It's You have a much more natural approach. But really, once you're raw vegan, you can pretty much eat all the time. It's not your body's going, stop eating, we can't take anymore. It's not doing that anymore. It's ready to essentially eat virtually any time you like. You know, that's not to say you won't feel full, but it's just to say, uh, you can eat more often if you would like to, but you don't have to. That's a bit confusing. I'm not sure exactly what I mean by that, but basically, basically it's not about your stomach being full or not, because your stomach's rarely actually full anymore. You can fill it up for a while, but it'll empty out pretty quick, or at least there'll be plenty of space in it pretty quick. So it's more about actually your actual feeling of the need for food. Just like, do you want to eat? Oh, I don't want to eat right now. Okay, you're not hungry. I do want to eat right now. Okay, you can probably eat more. That's fine. That's it. It's actually very simple. But it's not about your stomach being empty and all that. So when people's relationship with hunger has changed, they're waiting for a signal that's never going to come. And so they think to themselves, well, I must be full. And they don't have the sensitivity yet to realize their energy's dropping. All of a sudden, I don't want to go out. I don't want to do anything. I'm losing weight. And they don't connect any of this to they're not eating enough food. Very strange, but they've not got that connection. Once you're experienced with this and you've learned to eat enough and all that, then you can eat as much. You can eat tons. You can eat so much. You can eat all day long if you've got the chance. And it's great. But if you're talking about losing weight, for me, my experience as a raw vegan, even on a fruitarian diet, even on just one fruit, even on anything, you have to be in a caloric deficit for the weight to come off. That is it. And if you want to lose weight like the way that most people do, which is relatively quickly, a pound a week, you're not going to get much faster than that, but a pound a week for very bigger people, maybe 2 pounds a week, you can do that. But most people are looking to lose 50 pounds in a year or 6 months. They're not looking to wait 10 years. They don't want to, okay, over 10 years I'm going to lose 50 pounds. And that's a fine thing to do, but you don't need to wait 10 years. You can do it in 6 months, a little bit more, maybe a year. But you should probably aim at a year. And what people are acting against and speaking against and talking against is the concept that people are choosing to restrict too much, which becomes a bad cycle. The binging, purging cycle of not eating enough and then binging and then not eating enough and then binging and gradually gaining weight all that time because you're in an excess of calories, because the binges are so big that they outweigh literally all of the restriction. Nothing to do with you damaging your metabolism, just the numbers. If you actually just measured what that person ate, their activity level, their weight, their size, their height, their gender, you would work out they were in a caloric deficit when they lost weight. They were in an excess of calories over time when they gained weight. That's why fasting really doesn't work for losing weight, because you can only fast for so long. Your body's going to want to eat. and it can always out eat a fast. I've never met anyone that fasted and kept all the weight off. Never. They always manage to eat enough to regain the weight, and some. Always. No one ever fasts and then stays that weight, because you don't. Very few people are going to want to eat 1,500 calories a day or whatever it would require to not gain weight at your fasting, minimum. So, but you will always be able to eat more and eat enough. Because just think about the numbers of it. Over 7 days, you choose to fast for 4 days. You eat nothing for 4 days. Your body required, let's just take an average person, your body required 2,000 calories a day. You've now missed out on 6,000 calories. Over the course of a week, you need 14,000. 7 times 2, right? You fasted for 3 days. So, over the rest of that week, is it possible that you then in 3 days eat 14,000 calories? Is it possible you eat just under 5,000 calories a day? You bet it is. You best believe it. But you don't have to actually do that. You don't have to do that, because you're not going to fast 3 days every week. Maybe the next week you don't fast at all. Maybe the next week you fast a couple of days, maybe whatever. And it's just over the course of a week or a month. But can someone eat 5,000 calories in a day on cooked food? Are you kidding? On raw food even? It's possible. You know how easy that is? How many people must be doing that? If you see people that are seriously overweight, they didn't just gain the weight once and it's never come off. They are eating at that level to maintain that weight every single day. That's how it works. They must be. Otherwise they would lose weight. You have to maintain eating at that. Those people that are huge, they have to be eating they're eating over 5,000 easy every day. Easily. Now, I say easy, it's only easy if you're completely disconnected from how you feel. It's very strange. It's not it would be horrendously difficult for me to eat 5,000 calories of junk food in a day. It would be so depressing for me to do that. I would feel terrible. And 5,000 calories of high fat raw food would make me feel terrible as well. Or vegan cooked food, I would not feel good as well. But people do it all the time. And if you think a person can't eat 5,000 calories a day for 3 days and hide that from you, and then say that their fasting works, but there's something else going on that's wrong, and then because they gain weight or they eat all this crap, they fast again. Can you see the cycle? You have to break the cycle. It's craziness. So a person can even do stuff like that, but be in a caloric excess. People lie about what they eat as well, remember that. They might eat nothing in front of you, but they're eating a lot away from you. There's a guy called Jared Leto, I think he used to be really fat. He's an actor. He was talking about how he used to go home and he would have bowls of ice cream, and I think he would put oil in it, craziness, and soy sauce, and imagine ice cream and then adding oil to it and soy sauce. Total weight gain stuff. So, losing weight. By the way, one of the big mistakes people say is they act like they're not trying to lose weight. Just be honest with yourself. If you're trying to lose weight, just be honest about it. Nothing wrong with it. You're never going to get a woman who's going to say, I want to lose weight, I want to be more attractive to men. Want to be more attractive to men, want to lose weight. You never hear a woman say that. Like, ever. As far as I'm aware, like it's always kind of like, oh yeah, I'm doing this for my health. I'm doing this. Why? Because in the female culture, um, it's very easy to fall out with other women if it looks like you're trying to like get guys or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's not. Maybe I'm wrong about all this. But essentially, like they never want to signal that I'm trying to be more attractive here so I can get the guys you can't get. Like they don't want to fall out with each other. I think that's how it works. So they don't ever signal that. They always act like they don't even want men. They act like they're not sexual creatures and all that because they don't want to they don't want to intimidate other women. Anyway, whatever. Uh, but you gotta be in a deficit. Freely was in a deficit when she lost weight. All these people were in a deficit when they lost weight. None of them are being really honest about it, and no one's getting results doing what they're doing because of that. Because they're not saying I was in a caloric deficit. Yes, I ate 5,000 calories of bananas one day, but I only ever did that once. And then the next day I went for a bike ride for 3 hours. I went for a hike in the mountains, and I didn't eat till 5 p.m. and I ate like 1,500 calories. Okay, so you balanced out the 2 days. You didn't, you know, and you could have still been in it. You could have still been. That's the other thing. You could still be in a deficit even if you're saying you eat 5,000 calories a day. They don't. No one does that. Few athletes. Normal people aren't doing that. No one's doing that. So anyway, yeah, you need to be in a deficit, and you can measure that and work that out. Work out if you're not losing any weight doing what you're doing, and you're on a pretty healthy diet, then you just need to eat a little less. You need to work out how much you need to bring it down to, and you will lose weight as if by magic. But it's not magic. It's just it happens. You cut down the amount you need by a certain to maintain your weight. You cut down on that, and you will lose weight. If you only cut down slightly, you will almost not see the weight loss happen because it will be pretty slow. If you cut down by 500 calories a day, which is quite a lot, and you will notice that when you do that, you will lose about a pound a week. And you can maintain that. You can do that. You can get used to that. Um, so, but you might not want to go as heavy as that. You might, if you've only got a few pounds to lose, don't